Alrighty, guys. Eternals, unpopular opinion, is one of my favorite MCU movies ever made. Sorry, it just is. I know that a lot of people really don't like this movie in terms of the MCU. That's totally fine. I mean, we can all have our own opinions about the MCU, and we can all, have fun and talk about them and disagree, but I really like Eternals. Now, it's hard for me to argue, right, that the rest of the world didn't really love Eternals. I mean, it's not like it was a hated movie per se, but it definitely wasn't one of the, the more beloved ones because it just didn't do so well in terms of the critical reception, which is, it is what it is. I mean, I acknowledge that it's a film that I love, but that a lot of other people don't, and that's totally fine. Anyways, in terms of Eternals, though, returning to other parts of the MCU, that's been up in the air because who knows, right? Who knows if the Eternals will ever come back, given the fact that that movie was one of the first critically not super well received movies in the MCU. We have been getting hints of the Eternals in terms of a little bit of a reference in terms of Tiamat, Celestial Island, being the source of adamantium. So it looks like part of the Eternals will at least be a relatively significant part of the MCU moving forward. It's hard to imagine that you just have Celestial Island being where adamantium comes from in one movie, and then, obviously adamantium being super important for Wolverine, and just never have it show up again. It doesn't seem like that's the case. So part of the Eternals legacy will live on, it seems like. But the Eternals themselves, will we ever see them again? And especially heightened with the fact that, in that announcement with the chairs, right? The fact that, we knew, it was confirmed last week, we talked about this in the last episode of the Access Blockbusters Pod, that Kevin Feige said, well, no, that's not the full cast of Avengers Doomsday. And that's totally fair. We were wondering, I was wondering, does that include characters like Eternals or Moon Knight or Agatha, characters that were on the periphery of the MCU and were not guaranteed to return? Because there are characters like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange that you're like, well, surely they're in this movie. Wong, War Machine, right? Hawkeye, Hulk. But characters like the Eternals, a little bit more up in the air. And so recently, the Direct was speaking to Lauren Ridloff, who played Makari in Eternals, the super speed Eternal, and she basically shot down the idea that they would be showing up. It doesn't mean that they're not going to, but it likely means that they're not going to show up in Avengers Doomsday because, I don't know. Maybe she's lying, but it doesn't seem like, based on the tenor and based on just everything we've heard about the Eternals and the fact that, if they ever come back, it'll probably be after Secret Wars. I don't even think they're going to show up in Secret Wars. I've said everyone and their mother is going to show up in Secret Wars. I think a few characters on the periphery, like a Werewolf by Night, I don't even know about Moon Knight. Maybe Moon Knight. Like an Agatha, maybe like the Eternals are not going to show up in Secret Wars. I think that they're going to, be big parts of what's going on moving forward, right? But we'll see how that plays out. So the Direct asked Lauren Ridloff. They asked her, quote, "You played Makari in Eternals," which I loved, by the way. Me too. "We haven't seen that character since. So I wanted to know if Marvel has given you any hints about where we might see the Eternals next, because after all, the next Avengers film is starting up soon." And Lauren Ridloff, through a sign language interpreter, said this, quote, "Not really. I don't know. My magic 8-ball is telling me not likely." So again, does this mean the Eternals are never coming back? No. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that none of the Eternals will ever show up in the MCU ever again. We saw Kumail Nanjiani show up for What If, right? So I know that's animated. I know it's not really part of the MCU or whatever, but I think the Eternals will come back in some shape or form. There were a lot of rumors about Thor 5. Again, just rumors, only rumors, but who knows? But in terms of Avengers Doomsday, it looks like when they do their chair announcement part 2, if they ever do a chair announcement part 2, however they decide to announce the rest of the cast of Avengers Doomsday, and whatever explanation they give for just not announcing the full cast at once, even if maybe they just don't, give an explanation. Maybe it's just contract negotiations, which is not a very fun answer to give, right? So who knows? It might just be that. I don't think we're going to see the Eternals in Avengers Doomsday. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. Actually, I would really love to be wrong, but I don't think we're going to see the Eternals in Avengers Doomsday. Guys, what do you think about the quotes given by Lauren Ridloff? Do you think that the Eternals will actually show up in Avengers Doomsday and she's just either lying or bluffing, or maybe she doesn't know at this point? Let me know in the comments down below.